WHGE 95.3 FM. Coming up, the Open Eye.
Those of us that indulge in or commit intellectual violence don't do so for the pleasure of mental masturbation or ego diddling. We do so because the chains of oppression on our people's minds are deep and difficult to remove.
Good morning, my children of the sun. Welcome to the Open Eye on WHGE 95.3 FM. I'm your host, Third Eye Optometrist, Patrice Gibbs, here to get that eye open. Yes, indeed, I'm pretty sure you're going to learn something because I learned something before I got here. Big up, Steve. I see you out there, brother. Let me get my disclaimer out the way so we can get them started. Hold up.
The views and opinions expressed on the Open Eye are those of the hosts, guests, and contributors, and do not reflect the policy or position of WHGE 95.3 FM, nor our sponsor, the Delaware Center for Homeless Vets. Any content provided by Open Eye's hosts, guests, or contributors are theirs and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, company, or individual.
All right. Yes, indeed, getting them started. And as we always tell you, every generation has its purpose. Ours is to reveal the truth and reverse the brainwashing. Yes, indeed. Hey, Sister Sherry, how you doing? Thank you for some of the things you post. I'll be definitely quoting you today. All right. First of all, wait a minute. Okay, music. Okay. Oh, got the wrong button here. Excuse me. Yes, okay. Yeah, as I often do, I like to start off with some history. In 1893, Frederick Douglass invited Ida B. Wells to lunch. She noted a place across the street but indicated they would not receive service there. Ida said, Mr. Douglass, in his vigorous way, grasped my arm and said, "Come, let's go there." Together they sauntered in as if it were an everyday occurrence. Cocked and primed for the fight if necessary, Douglass grabbed a table and a chair for him and Miss Wells. As paralyzed staff looked on, a standoff ensued with wait staff until the proprietor realized it was Frederick Douglass and warmly welcomed him while sharing stories of a time past when Douglass visited his hometown. When the proprietor finally went to another part of the room, Mr. Douglass turned to Ida B. Wells with a roguish look and said, "Ida, I thought you said they didn't serve us here. It seems we are getting more attention than we wanted." Frederick Douglass spent his life fighting for justice and equality. He never knew the date of his birth. This is something he struggled with throughout his lifetime. Douglas believed he was born in the month of February in 1817. In fact, records show that Douglas was born in February 1818. He chose the 14th of February for his birthday because his mother would call him her little Valentine. Unfortunately, Douglas never knew much about his parentage. His mother, Harriet, was sold off when Douglas was but a child, and they only met her a few times before she passed away. Though born enslaved in Maryland, he escaped as a young man and became a leading voice in the abolitionist movement. Yeah, Frederick Douglass. Like so many people of our people that came from his situation, from slavery, he didn't know much about his parentage. And that's what we had to deal with. Moving right along, all right. It's something, if we don't educate our own, we allow others to educate them, what will happen is they will be misled, as Carter G. Woodson teaches us in several of his books. This is from Brother Hameen. There are movements out here that are trying hard to water down one of our greatest spokesmen for the upliftment of our people, Malcolm X. These folks are propagating that Al-Hajj Umawali Malik Shabazz was a proponent of human rights. Totally false. From the time Brother Malcolm, as he preferred to be called, as the highest rank he achieved, was awakened with the knowledge given to him by Elijah Muhammad, our brother grew to be a Pan-Africanist nationalist. He never was promoting rights for everyone, which includes Europeans, Asians, Slavics, so-called Jews, Aryans, homosexuals, transvestites, women's rights or religious rights. He stood solely focused upon the liberation of African peoples wherever they were found on this earth. I sincerely hope my friends, family, and those who consider themselves conscious will rebuke and refute any such statements about Brother Malcolm as a human rights leader and re-educate them. We can't allow anyone to water down and diminish any of our great Pan-African warriors. Malcolm said, as long as we think that we should get Mississippi straightened out before we worry about the Congo, you'll never get Mississippi straightened out. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. Okay. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Education Advocacy Station. That's a good tagline for a station, because you get an education, you keep listening to us. Makes me think of one of my teachers told us, you keep messing around with me, keep following me, instead of learning to walk, you'll learn to fly. In 1480 BC, Pharaoh Thutmose III documented an extraordinary event. A circle of fire appearing in the sky, followed by sightings of additional unidentified flying objects over the days that followed. Yeah, his scribes captured the details meticulously, and as a gesture of reverence, the Pharaoh ordered that incense be burned. This historic event gives rise to fascinating theories regarding possible extraterrestrial encounters, suggesting that ancient Egyptians might have witnessed phenomena beyond their understanding. Such records encourage a reevaluation of ancient beliefs in connection to the wider universe and the mysteries that it holds. You know what? That sounds like it came from an episode of Ancient Aliens. BS. That's that crap that says, what they do on Ancient Aliens is they go to places in Africa, South America, Asia, okay, the Indian Peninsula, and they say aliens came here because these people were not advanced enough to make these, to build these monuments, to have these advances and what have you. And if you notice, they're always going to places, like I said, in Africa and this, that, and the other. Trying to give the false ideal that aliens built the pyramids. That aliens built the Tekkens, which we know as obelisk and what have you. It ain't just the miseducation of the Negro, it's the miseducation overall. Because Africans built the pyramids. And they had the technology and the understanding to such a level that peoples from all over the world came to Africa to study. It's something that I used to get this one when I was coming up. I have good diction, so I've been told. I'm somewhat articulate. And that didn't just happen, in my adulthood. But what I would get from some friends and family, you act white. When black people display their intelligence, they are not imitating whiteness, because intelligence is not an inherently white trait. Black excellence is real and has nothing to do with white proximity. By honoring your cultural legacy and exploring your past, you'll recognize the intellectual achievement is a vibrant thread in the rich tapestry of black excellence. Now, I don't give a damn what they say on Ancient Aliens. So I would need to teach your own. Couldn't think of the miseducation of the Negro. And you look around at what's going on and how other societies teach. And you come back here and you realize, or you hear, and hopefully you understand what people like Trump want to do. Because one of the main things in Project 2025 is they want to completely get rid of the Department of Education. You see, it's easier to fool uneducated people because educated people are not fit to be slaves. For instance, Finland is teaching children how to recognize fake news as part of critical thinking and civic responsibility. Meanwhile, Here in the United Snakes of America, we ban books. Yeah. If you expect the present day school system to give history to you, you are dreaming. This we have to do ourselves. The Chinese didn't go out in the world and beg people to teach Chinese studies or let them teach Chinese studies. The Japanese didn't do that either. People don't beg other people to restore their history, they do it themselves. It's a quote from Dr. John Henry Clark. It's reality. Got to teach our own. You know, and it's something I salute the black churches in Florida, because hundreds of them are now teaching black history because it's banned in the schools there. And they know we got to teach our own. Maybe the black church is coming back to what it used to be, a beacon in our community. WHGE 95.3 FM, the open eye. Humanity has been fooled to believe the next great step for mankind is to develop more and more technology. The truth is the technological agenda we are moving towards is meant to create a dystopian era of totalitarianism under the control of AI. The real great step for humanity is to deepen our connection with nature. This will put us in a much better position physically, mentally, and spiritually. Nature gives us everything we need to live a happy and healthy life with freedom. You know, it's something that I've often mentioned, that only the European has been reluctant to advance in concert with nature. When you take the ancient Egyptians, their advancement was in concert with nature, was in conjunction with nature, was with respect to nature. This is how, where we're going. We're not understanding the importance of that. We're not understanding the importance of the environment. Because of our let me pull that back. Because of the Europeans' barbaric treatment of the environment, we have had hundreds of animals and other living beings, insects or whatever, go extinct. They were killed off. Meanwhile, we're pushing this technology and not recognizing where this can lead. Listen to this. This was an interview with Godfrey Hinton. For those of you who don't know, Godfrey Hinton is the godfather of artificial intelligence. The interviewer asked him, does humanity know what it's doing? Hinton: no. I think we're moving into a period when for the first time ever, we may have things more intelligent than us. You believe they can understand? Yes. You believe they are intelligent? Yes. You believe these systems have experiences of their own and can make decisions based on those experiences? In the same sense as people do? Hinton answered yes. Are they conscious? The interviewer asked. Hinton said, I think they probably don't have much self-awareness at present. So in that sense, I don't think they are conscious. Will they have self-awareness? Oh, yes. I think they will in time. The interviewer responded, and so human beings will be the second most intelligent beings on the planet? Yeah. We have a very good idea, so roughly, we have a very good idea roughly what it's doing. But once again, it's really complicated. We don't actually know what's going on anymore than we know what's going on in your brain. Let me read that again. We have a very good idea, roughly, what it's doing. But once again, it's really complicated. We don't actually know what's going on any more than we know what's going on in your brain. The interviewer asked, what do you mean we don't know exactly how it works? It was designed by people. Well, no. Hinton responded, no, it wasn't. What we did, we designed a learning algorithm that's a bit like designing the principle of evolution. But when this learning algorithm then interacts with data, it produces cultivating neural networks that are good at doing things. We don't really understand exactly how they do those things. Once again, it comes down to, what do you know? Because man has now designed computer systems, artificial intelligence, that's smarter than he is. And he actually doesn't even know, those that have designed these things, how they do what they do. They set up the learning curve. The algorithm evolved. And it's teaching itself based on its experiences. And where is this going to lead us? People look at the Matrix and say, it's just a fantasy that never take place. Once AI learns to manipulate, and it will, we're in a hell of a lot of trouble. What do you know? We didn't know enough not to build things that could destroy us. Comes down to what we don't know. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. I'm Patrice Gibbs, your third eye optometrist. There you go. Turning down the wrong button here. Let me say that again. I'm Patrice Gibbs, your third eye optometrist. I know the people on Facebook call it. Those on the radio might have missed it. Okay. Now, I'm going to bring on someone that I don't really like mentioning too much, don't like to give her any publicity. And that's notorious Negro peeing bed wench, Candace Owens. I think she's really an awful person, awful woman. Yeah. Yeah, and something interesting happened here last week. Australia rejects visa applications by right-wing U.S. pundit Candace Owens. Immigration Minister Tony Burke says Owens has the capacity to incite discord in almost every direction ahead of her planned November speaking tour. Yeah, she's on tour because she got kicked to the curb by her former masters. She need to make some money. So Australia has rejected far-right provocateur Candace Owens' visa application ahead of her tour. U.S. conservative influencer and podcast host who has advanced conspiracy theories and anti-Semitic rhetoric, including minimizing Nazi medical experiments and concentration camps, will be blocked from coming to Australia after the Australian federal government voiced alarm about her record. From downplaying the impact of the Holocaust with comments about notorious Nazi doctor Joseph Mengele, through her claims that Muslims started slavery, Candace Owens has the capacity to incite discord. Australia's national interest is best served when Candace Owens is somewhere else. Owens has scheduled a 5-day speaking tour of Australia in November with events in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, and Adelaide. Tickets range from $95 for general admission to $295 for a VIP meet and greet and $1,500 for a private dinner with the conservative media personality. Who in the hell is going to pay her, let alone pay $95 to see that bed wench, and pay $295 for a VIP meet and greet? Is people that stupid? And $1,500 for a private dinner with the conservative media personality. Who in the hell would pay $1,500 for a private dinner with that notorious Negro peeing bed wench? Damn, you talk about whoring. You know, hookers in Vegas, you can get one for $1,000. She want $1,500 to sit there and look at her silly ass. And the interesting thing is, Australia is not the bastion of tolerance. I'm actually really surprised that Australia didn't want her there. I tell you. Because I've seen Australian politicians come right out and real blatant with their bigotry, as well as Australian citizens. So one of their leaders asked, what good are dark and brown people, black and brown people, and yellow people? Why are they in Australia? What do they contribute to our society? You know, there is a slim second when I said, oh, Australia's racist, they so racist they won't even let in Candace Owens. Oh, we should support, and then I woke up. And I don't give a damn who rejects Candace Owens. It's probably good business. Yes, you know, she's not a true believer. It's the same hussy that went to a congressional hearing and said, white supremacy is not a problem for black people. And I'm tired of people saying it is. This is the same Negro peeing bed wench that called Juneteenth a ghetto holiday. But before she found out that she could get paid by being a mammy and a Negro peeing bed wench, when she did run into some racism, she went to the NAACP and sued and got $30,000. Soon as she got that money in her pocket, racism, there ain't no racism in America. If it is, I ain't seen it. Yeah. And no respect for that hussy. Neither for any sane thinking person, because she's nothing but a political whore. So I call her Negro peeing bed wench. I jumped up and married this moist dude from Britain. And it don't stop. And when I say it don't stop, let us not forget, as black men, some of the most dangerous people that we can interact with are white women. How could you say that? Check this out. A Washington State woman was charged with a hate crime after allegedly trying to pin an assault on a black and Hispanic teenager she reportedly shouted racial slurs and insults at. That's her brother Allen. Jennifer Vincent faces a malicious harassment charge with a hate crime designation, 4th degree assault and resisting arrest for an October 25th incident. Vincent, who is white, called the police to Pioneer Park in Pullout, Washington, to report that she had been assaulted by a 14-year-old boy. Damn, how old was Emmett Till? When responding officers arrived at the park, multiple witnesses told them that Vincent was the aggressor. 14-year-old boy's a grown-ass woman. Several people told police that Vincent was shouting racial and derogatory statements to the teen and to other Hispanic people. The teenager, who was the subject of Vincent's 911 call, told officers that Vincent approached a family celebrating their daughter's quinceanera at the park and told them to go back to their country. Racist ass hussy. Vincent then allegedly walked over to the teen and a group he was with and repeated those same statements. She reportedly told them to go back where he came from and he's not allowed in this country, and then shoved him, put her hands on him. And the teen pushed her back in response. And he should have knocked the hell out of her. Witness statements added up with the teen's versions of events, and others also told officers that Vincent called the teen a beaner and the N-word. Court records describe Vincent as uncooperative in her interactions with responding officers. After they arrived, she was screaming, refused to answer questions, and repeatedly asked for medical attention despite walking around normally and appearing uninjured. Brother Ray, one officer suspected she was suffering from a mental health crisis and called a crisis responder to the scene, who noted that Vincent has a history of post-traumatic stress disorder. And she bought that crap on herself. Watching Fox News and listening to Trump. But they did the right thing this time. We would like to hope that this becomes the norm. Vincent was taken to the hospital before being booked in county jail. At hospital visit, doctors determined she had a bruised back internally. Part of that would be what she was complaining of earlier, when she said she had pre-existing injuries. She made her first court appearance on Monday, where a judge set her bail at $10,000 and issued a no-contact order with any witnesses. She set to return in November. Yeah, they locked her ass up, and that's what they should have done for filing a false report. Gonna go pull up on some people and with racial attack and verbally attack them, and then put your hands on somebody, then turn right around and call the cops. So you'll see what happened was, she was sure when the cops came, and no matter how many witnesses were out there, she was the only white woman out there. And in the past, white women's tears have led to the death of black people. So with these black and brown people out there, when the cops came, she had every confidence to believe that they were going to take her side. Fortunately, they did not. Like I said, we would like to hope that this becomes the norm. I don't know. WHGE 95.3 FM, The Open Eye. Had you voted yet? Yeah, there's early voting this year, or as usual. And a lot of people are getting out voting early. Yeah. It's something that we are already seeing how contentious this election is going to be. And those following Trump have no problem bringing their extremism and violence to the polls. There's a kid running around in Florida at the polls with a machete, threatening anybody that wasn't for Trump. On Wednesday, oh yeah, it's getting spicy out there. A Donald Trump supporter got aggressive with Orangeburg County, South Carolina poll workers after they asked him to remove his "Let's Go Brandon" hat. The slogan is a euphemism for F Biden, an overtly political message that South Carolina prohibits from polling places. Voters can wear anything that displays a political party, candidate, or agenda at the polls. And that's in most places. The poll manager shall use every reasonable means to keep the area within 500 feet of any such entrance, clear political literature and displays. In the county and municipal law enforcement officers, upon request of a poll manager, shall remove or cause to be removed any material within 500 feet of any such entrance distributed or displayed in violation of this section. That's what the law states. Well, this man was informed that he needed to remove his cap with the mega popularized slogan. His response: "You effing bitch." The female poll worker asked him to refrain from cussing at her. "This is my MFing right here." All right? And he told him, just shut the hell up and let me vote. You know, when it was finally clear to him that he was not going to be able to vote his ballot wearing the hat, the pot-bellied provocateur aggressively flips it in the direction of the next person in line. The poll worker called for help, take him outside. He refuses, pointing in another poll worker's face. The worker responds by slapping his chest with both hands. Some grabbing and pushing followed, as there many as 5 workers trying to restrain the MAGA man. Now, the crazy thing to me was I saw this video. Okay? I ain't seen no men come run up and help these women. They were all women. Eventually, another voter, an older female, she talked them into leaving the precinct. The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division is investigating the fracas. On social media, however, the investigation is complete. Either the MAGA man is a belligerent jerk who should be arrested, or the MAGA man is a victim denied his right to vote. Oh, there's a conspiracy or two attached. And of course, what Trump supporters are saying is Trump voter was assaulted by South Carolina polling station workers during an argument over his MAGA hat. Yeah. A white Trump supporter who refused to take off his cap and then proceeded to become belligerent and abusive should have been kicked to the curb. He was arrested on felony charges of assaulting an elderly person and could face additional charges. He still hadn't been identified. But that's what's going on. So watch yourself when you do vote, because these fools are out here. WHGE 95.3 FM. Over and I. All right. Third eye optometrist Patrice Gibbs here. And I'm sure by now, wait a minute now. Sister Sherry said he only did that because he felt he had the power over the women that were working the polls. If there had been any men there around, he would not have done what he did. He's nothing but a coward. Absolutely right. You got that right. That's why he acted up like that. He ain't see no men in there. So he figured he could bully these women, and a couple of them were older women. Yeah. Well, I'm sure by now we all heard about the Nazi rally in Madison Square Garden, right? Where Trump's minions, if you saw any footage of it, it was off the hook. Yeah, they talk about the comedian, what's that fool's name? That said Puerto Rico is a floating island of garbage. Yeah. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Tony Hinchcliffe, allegedly a stand-up comic, Also included lewd and racist comments about Latinos, Jews, and black people. All key constituencies in the election are just 9 days away. Oh, yeah. He said some of the craziest stuff, but not just him. It wasn't just him. You know, there are other speakers up there. You know, and you know how nutty this Trump cult is. Trump's childhood friend, David Rim, referred to Harris as the Antichrist and the devil. Businessman Grant Cardone told the crowd that Harris and her pimp handlers would destroy her pimp handler. God. Yeah. You know, this is their mindset. And I had to come back and say, you know the song, I left my heart in the land of Dixie. No, in the land of cotton, long gone, and I forgotten. Look away, look away. And that's what Byron Donalds walked out to. Damn, Byron. They played a slave song for you. And you got up there and supported these fools. You beyond a rabbit raccoon. Now, of course, the interesting thing that came out of that is the reaction from people. For instance, Despacio singer Luis Fonsi becomes the latest Puerto Rican star to speak out against Trump's racist rally speaker, Tony Hinchcliffe, declaring that Republicans have no respect for Latinos, and yet they want our vote. We are not okay with constant hate. Not now. Not against my island, my people, and adding that he purposely wrote this in English because, yes, Puerto Ricans are Americans too. That's right, they are. Yeah. But here's the thing. To some of my Hispanic brothers and sisters, brown people, and black people from Puerto Rico, it took this to make you see that the Republican Party and these Trumpsters and the MAGA cult hate your guts. He called your island, and Trump called your island ish. You know what I mean? Stood up there and threw paper towels at you and denied you aid. And it took this to make you realize that you're hated. And of course, you know, because, you know, you have a lot of Hispanic people that are in favor of Trump. And guess what? A lot of them, this is not going to change their mind. They're in the goddamn cult. Now, of course, you know, Trump and them, they try to get out of it because right now the Trump campaign is scrambling. They're trying to blame this rhetoric about Puerto Rico on a so-called comedian. I said allegedly comedian because it wasn't nothing funny about this dude. This is not a comedian. This is the Trump campaign. They invited this rhetoric on their stage for a reason. It was a course of speakers for a reason. And it was vetted. They knew exactly who was going on and what they were going to say before they ever went on. And that's a quote from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Yeah, they knew exactly what these people were going to get up and say. And like I said, if you saw any of it, it was definitely a Nazi party, a Nazi rapper. Which brings me to this. Did you know most of the terrorist activity in the U.S. in recent years has not come from Muslims, but from radical Christians, white supremacists, and far-right militia groups, inspired and encouraged by Glenn Beck, O'Reilly, Hannity, and Fox News in their divisive, misleading commentary. Yeah, and what's that other dude's name? That Fox actually kicked off the air. He was so wild with his stuff. Yeah, punk ass too. Yeah, you know, it's something, because you know, a lot of them have incited this stuff. And they should be locked up for it. Cost people their lives. Sometimes I read history and I'm just like, the FBI used every trick in the book to destroy the Black Panthers. Infiltration, assassination, false charges. But somehow didn't lift a finger to stop the KKK from bombing churches. In light of all the racial terrorism we are experiencing, does anyone think it's odd that the FBI, Homeland Security, or the government has never, in the 21st century, has never been able to bust or expose a white terrorist organization? Isn't that odd? You might think so until you come to the realization that the FBI, Homeland Security, the United States government, and your local police actually are the white terrorist organization. Let's not get mixed on that. White supremacy, white supremacists in the government has supported white terrorism from 1870 to the present day. Don't get it mixed. Yeah, I'll tell you something else that I look at in this quote Sister Tracy posted. Africans have been misled to believe that poverty is an individual failure rather than a carefully engineered system. Which it is. Carefully engineered system. I saw one government official accidentally got on an interview and told the truth. About the resources in Africa. And he said, as we got to maintain the relationships that we have with African countries so we can continue to exploit them. I mean, exploit their resources. Yeah, you said exactly what you meant. You said the quiet part right out loud. That's your intention. Africa has always been an extraordinarily important region, marked since the dawn of time by its natural riches and exuberance of its fauna and flora. So the continent is known as the cradle of humanity. With the dawn of capitalism from the 15th century onwards, Africa began to be prepared to be the preferred target of the greed of the European metropolises of that period. Africa is not poor by happenstance. They're not poor in America by happenstance. Understand this, and I've said it many times. Capitalism requires an exploited class. And America's choice has been black people. That's why the face of poverty is always black. Anytime you hear them criticize about how wasteful welfare spending is, whose face they put up there? Put black people's face up there. And don't get it mixed. America's slave past still profoundly affects its present. Hell, there was one president that thoroughly understood that capitalism required an exploited underclass. Therefore, there should be a safety net. And that's FDR. Let me tell you about FDR's second Bill of Rights. This is from his, I guess it was his State of the Union speech around 41, 43, somewhere around there. I don't have the exact date. I'll get that for you another time. But this is from his State of the Union speech. And it might have been his last one. He said, "This republic had its beginning and grew to its present strength under the protection of certain inalienable political rights. Among them, the right of free speech, free press, free worship, trial by jury, freedom from unreasonable search and seizures. They were our rights to life and liberty. As our nation has grown in size and stature, however, as our industrial economy expanded, these political rights proved inadequate to assure us equality in the pursuit of happiness. We have come to a clear realization of the fact that true individual freedom cannot exist without economic security and independence. Necessitous men are not free men. People who are hungry and out of a job are the stuff of which dictators are made. In our day, these economic truths have become accepted as self-evident. We have accepted, so to speak, a second Bill of Rights under which a new basis of security and prosperity can be established for all, regardless of station, race, or creed. Among these are the right to a useful and remunerative job in the industries or shops or farms or mines of the nation. The right to earn enough to provide adequate food and clothing and recreation. The right of every farmer to raise and sell his product at a return which will give him and his family a decent living. The right of every businessman, large and small, to trade in an atmosphere of freedom from unfair competition and domination by monopolies at home or abroad. The right of every family to a decent home. The right to adequate medical care and opportunity to achieve and enjoy good health. The right to adequate protection from economic fears of old age, sickness, accident, and unemployment. The right to a good education. All these rights spell security. And after this war is won, we must be prepared to move forward in the implementation of these rights to new goals of human happiness and well-being." That's from FDR. Meanwhile, you have these nuts trying to shut down the Department of Education. Their primary goal is to have an undereducated class that they can manipulate and control. We need to get hip to that. WHGE 95.3 FM, the open eye. All right. This hour flies by. And as I always tell you, destiny determines who enters your life, but you decide who stays. Therefore, value those who value you, and don't treat those as a priority who treat you as an option. Thanks for joining us. I'm Patrice Gibbs, the Open Eye. All right. As I always tell you, global African supremacy because the world was a much better place when the African ruled. I'm Patrice Gibbs.